So for the next 40 minutes, we have Georgina Hnatiuk joining us. Georgina was born in Vancouver and is descendant from a long matriarchal line of plant medicine women of the Tsimshian Nation. Georgina grew up learning all about plants. It was based on her lineage, training, and inherent respect for traditional culture that Georgina was then chosen to be a keeper of knowledge by the Georginas Nation former chief's wife, Elder Annie Keitla George from Tofino. Georgina has an inherent commitment, passion, and vision to see First Nations medicine restored for the benefit of First Nations. Please welcome Georgina, who's going to talk to us about traditional medicines.
Good day, everybody. I'm really excited to be here. This is an amazing, momentous occasion. I feel like this is a huge part of my purpose as a plant medicine keeper of knowledge, to be here in the room with all of these profound leaders, chiefs, government, healthcare leaders, all the people who play a vital role every day in every way serving in the healthcare profession. I'm really thankful for the Nutritional Tribal Council for referring me to speak here at the First Nations gathering wisdom, hence the pun, we're going to gather wisdom all together. I'm also thankful for the First Nations Health Authority for actually hosting this. Very emotional to be here a little bit because our ancestors have been hiding behind a veil of tears. We need to reclaim our medicine. And I feel so blessed to be here with everybody who can come together and make change. So this is my little talking stick. And thank you, this is better. Ta-da! Yay. You don't just get to listen to me, you can hear me, hey? So I'm just going to get organized. I'd like to know who here believes that all of our medicine knowledge has been lost. I keep hearing that all the time. I keep hearing it from elders. I hear it from traditional healers. Everybody raise their hand. I hear it from Chinese medical practitioners, naturopathic practitioners. I hear it from all the children who want our medicine gifts reclaimed. I'm here today to tell you that that's not true. And my goal here is to prove to you that all this medicine is here, it's around us everywhere, and we just need to tap into it in order to reclaim it. There's amazing cancer curatives. I'm very blessed. Everything has a purpose. Every failure that I've ever had has turned into something beautiful. I've been able to gather a lot of wisdom over time. I see how everything has come together to lead me to this moment, to share back the truth of our culture and our nation and our knowledge. There's a lot of truth, beauty, and wisdom, and I want all the kids to know this. They're the next generation. We're the 7th generation right now. There's curatives for cancer, there's curatives for AIDS. I know we're not allowed to say that in allopathic medicine. We're not allowed to say it if you're an Orthodox practitioner, because when 400 years ago, even though Canada's only about 140, 50 years old, when allopathic medicine was introduced into our culture, they didn't really understand a whole lot about plants. They had to prove it through biochemistry and science. So curatives became a word that no one was really allowed to use. And there's safety purposes for that, and I appreciate that. Allopathic medicine serves amazing purpose every day in every way, and I think it's really important to merge together in a collective circle and work holistically. And so I definitely honor the knowledge of all people who work in the healthcare profession. Who here knows how to make any of the formulas? It's not just you do? I'm really glad to have you here today. It's beautiful. There's treatments for tuberculosis. Tuberculosis is one of the major Well, it kills a lot of people every year. Malaria actually is the #1 cause of death in the world as well. We hold the knowledge for that. Not just in South America, where there's amazing amount of knowledge and research. We have it here, not just from the Nuu-chah-nulth Nation. We have it everywhere. No nation has to be dependent on another nation. It's overwhelming, actually. I'm so happy to be here today. Who here knows people who have conditions right now and are not accessing First Nations medicine? Yeah. Who here believes that all the keepers of knowledge should not share our medicine and only teach traditionally and orally? I'm very surprised that I don't see a lot of hands, because that's how I was taught, and I honor my lineage. And when I share information with you today, I'll be talking about the plants that we work with, and I'll be able to tell you some of the benefits and results, and the results that I've had, but I won't be able to tell you how to make them, unfortunately. I reserve that for the nation and honor the tradition for intellectual property. But there are actually alternatives. We have an amazing ability to come together and reclaim our knowledge. It's been 10 years. I've been researching. I've spoke with ethnobotanists, scientists. I've spoke with practitioners. I've spoke with elders. I've spoke with chiefs. And some of the information that I learned was really astounding. And I'll just get started. My mom is here today. I'm really blessed. Mom, could you stand? This is my mom. She's from the Lakulams Nation. We're tricksters. We're also part white, so. But we're all related and we're all connected, and I really believe that. So I come from the Lakulams Nation of the West Coast, which is in Port Simpson, BC. My mother's brother was the chief. When he passed, her other brother is the chief. The matriarchal line in our family were the plant medicine women and keepers of knowledge. And my mother grew up learning about plant medicine from my grandma. She learned it as fun. It was so part and parcel of the call of it was part and parcel of the nature of her upbringing. And neighbors would come, and my grandmother would treat them. My mom would wake up in the morning, 6 a.m., and then she would work with my grandmother until about noon. And it was just good fun. And then one day, when my mother was rather young, my mom was only about 7 years old. You start young. My little boy used to come with me when I would go harvest plants, and he was 1.5. They learn about apples and oranges. They learn about plants. They learn them really fast. When my mom was about 7, my grandmother just said abruptly one day, "That's it. The white man has a better way. I can't teach you anymore." That was it. No more discussion. And we can't really explain it because there's a lot of secrecy. We were told not to talk, but her children were being taken away. They weren't allowed to practice their culture. Our whole culture was actually being deleted. The consequences were too severe. So it's out of that spirit of self-protection, that spirit of honor, that we actually withheld our knowledge. We were knowledge keepers orally, but it was compounded with the genocide. So we went underground. And it's amazing how everything happens for a purpose and a reason. One day, I was 14 years old. I moved out a little bit young. I was very strong-willed. And I moved in with my sister. And I had $26 to my name, and so I did what any teenager would do without a lot of experience and infatuation. Spent my last $26 to buy a gemstone from this really cute guy. And it turned out to be something really beautiful. I ended up getting a job as a vendor from the age of 14, And right away, this gentleman came up to me. His name was Wandering Spirit. He was an elder. He was a storyteller. And he walked up to me one day, and I don't know how he knew it, but he said, "What nation are you from?" And I still don't know how he could tell, but I guess I'm a trickster that way. And I told him which nation I was from. He bought a pendant off of me. He did a smudge with his eagle feather, told me a story of the eagle and the rat, and he said to me, "Your name is Sunshine, the 8th color of the rainbow." I know it's a funny name, but the sunshine has all the colors in it, I realize now. So it's very blessed. "You are now my student." And he initiated me. He taught me native stories. He had a BA in art. He would tell stories over on Robson, Granville. He moved over to Victoria, and he would meet me and he would buy me books, and it taught me about the beauty, truth, and wisdom. I ended up learning a lot about ethnobotany, and I thought, wow, I would really like to be a shaman. I went over to my mom's house one day, and Oprah Winfrey was on TV, and there was this company called Shaman's Pharmaceutical. Shaman's Pharmaceutical is a pharmacy company, but they were claiming that they need shamans. And I said, I know that there's a lot of cancer cures. I've heard that. I'd love to go down there and study. So I sent that out into the universe. I was learning herbology from wild rose. I was learning about aromatherapy, learning how to make different medicinal formulas and stuff like this. And then I'll get into it pretty soon, but it's really important that you know my background here, how everything comes together. I also said that I wanted to have a healing center, right? So what I ended up doing was I became a traveler of love rather than a traveler of the world, and I moved to Tofino, and I had my first son. I was actually very fortunate. I ended up opening up a healing center there with my husband, who was an acupuncturist and a massage therapist. And we hired doctors of Chinese medicine, we hired naturopaths, and we did this for 7 years. I was diagnosed with cancer, and I said, what am I going to do? There was no alternatives, even with the Chinese practitioners that we knew of, at least within our location. And I was overwhelmed. I had 3 months until I could go for my laser surgery, and I didn't know what to do. I was overwhelmed. I couldn't sleep. And it's amazing how the ancestors call upon other people and bring them into our lives. Suddenly one day, this elder Annie George came in. She's from the Ahousaht Nation. She's married to Billy George, who's the chief of the Ahousaht Nation as well, along with Sean Atleo. And she was trained as well within that nation. And she walked in, she says, I really don't know why I'm here, but I just had this amazing magnetic feeling. I really needed to come in and sit down with you today. I don't know why, but I really need to meet you. We chatted and we had the most amazing connection. My mother's brother is named George Wood, who was a chief, and his wife Annie, which was another synchronicity. And she initiated me. We had a profound connection on many different levels, and we knew that we were supposed to share because she came from a matriarchal line of healers, and so did I. So it fit all the criterion, and I spent about 10 to 20 hours a week for a whole year making medicine, harvesting plant medicine in the temperate ancient rainforest along the west coast, funguses, barks, you name it. Suddenly, everybody who had cancer was suddenly attracted to me. I met like 3 people a day who had cancer. It was like that energy of the universe was just attracting them to me. Annie said, I haven't practiced in a long time. I'll get into the reason why later. And she said to me, we're going to start practicing again. So we did. I was harvesting different types of funguses and barks. I was making so much of it, I didn't actually, I couldn't keep up. It took a long time. And it was removing me from my family. I wasn't getting paid because traditionally you're not allowed to get paid. You used to trade as a form of getting paid. Now you need a trade in order to get paid. But I still did it because I knew that that was my soul purpose and my soul urge to see the good remanifest. I know that's the dream of our ancestors. That's the dream that we all share. So I did, and the results were amazing. There were people on their deathbeds who were in the hospital, and within 2 weeks they were out walking around, like little kids all giddy, waving at me from their car, having to stop and thank me. There were people who had blood counts of 1, and if it went to 0, you would pass. Within 2 weeks, their blood counts were up to 5 or 8. The unfortunate thing is that there's also predictable obstacles. The obstacles are that there's such a lack of knowledge, not only amongst physicians, but with First Nations people. And what ended up happening was doctors would often say it's contraindicated, you can't take it. Next thing, people would stop taking it because they felt they had to follow safety first, and within a couple weeks they would be dead. It was very hard. At the same time, I had only taken a few cups of this formula that was a curative for cancer. And I went to the restroom one day and I could smell this toxic sickness come out. And I said, wow, that must be it. That must be some sort of cleansing, but I didn't really know. I had to wait another 3 months because I missed my appointment for a colposcopy, so it was 6 months. I went, all of the cancer was gone. None of the doctors wanted to know anything about it. They said, it is a mistake. I've treated people with cancer it's not just cancer, but for some reason that's what I attracted. My teachers treated people with HIV, schizophrenia very successfully. The medicine would last for about 1 year and then they would have to come back again. But I've treated people with cancer of the brain, pancreas, which is very hard, spleen, gallbladder, liver, anus, intestines, blood, bones, you name it. It takes 2 months, and if they stick to it without fear and trust, it works. People often say to me, you must believe in the medicine for it to work. You really must believe in the medicine for it to work, hey? And I say to them, no, you don't have to believe in the medicine for it to work. The medicine works on its own. You have to be open-minded enough to believe in it and to practice it. So, my whole purpose here today is actually not only to share with you some of these obstacles, but to give you some ideas about what we can do based on my knowledge and my experience working with so many people in the industry. After we were practicing for a while, Annie's had so many children, I had my kids, and both of our partners give us a hard time. You guys aren't getting paid, your family needs you, you need balance in your life. It's our marriage, or it's this. And I could take that medicine, I know how to actually make formulas. I could sell them. I don't want to do that. I don't want to be like the lady who was the nurse who practiced SCIAC treatments, which is her last name backwards, which were good for cancer. And then she cured over 3,000 people in the I'm not sure exactly which decade, I failed to remember, but you could YouTube it. And she wasn't allowed to practice, so she made a formula. That is on the market today as SCIAC. It doesn't work as well because there's FDA regulations. Our plant medicine, we often, surprisingly enough, we don't make homeopathic amounts. We will fill up a whole pot of herbs and barks and funguses, and we mix them up, we stage them, we give them to people in stages in order to affect certain organs and things of this nature. So after that, I still remained really loyal and committed to my culture. So what I ended up doing, I'm going to have to be really fast now. I'm going to have to be more expedient. But I ended up learning about ethnobotany, and I started learning that a lot of our plant medicine knowledge is actually kept by ethnobiologists for 400 years all over the world. That medicine knowledge is there, just not within our nation, but it's in our nation everywhere. There's somebody who actually just got a doctorate in the UK for writing a paper which was deemed good enough to get her a doctorate on covert ethnobotany. Ethnobotanists take all of our information and they don't share it back with us. Then the pharmaceutical companies process that information, is deemed ineffective, and all that knowledge is put back out there in a filtered way. It's actually quite surprising. Most of the barks and leaves we ate in our traditional diet have been taken off the market that are actually curatives. And I'll get into that in a little bit of time. So, Um, I've covered a lot of ground here. I'm going to breeze through this, but in Chinese medicine and naturopathic medicine, I read all the books. Before this happened to me, I actually cured myself of severe allergies, chronic fatigue, using the medicine knowledge that was available within naturopathic medicine and Chinese medicine. I had leaky gut syndrome, which caused my allergies. I read the books, cured myself. I had neck issues, had acupuncture. I've done a lot. It was kind of like being in an apprenticeship. And so I've merged that information together a little bit. And I'm gonna share with you my understanding of how to reclaim our medicine knowledge back. So the diet that we normally had, an average family would actually store about 500 pounds of nuts. They would eat that as a main staple, not wheat and things of this nature, which actually promote obesity and allergies and candida. They had like cottonwood, bark. They would make breads and things of that nature. It was really high in omega-3s. They had a diet that actually promoted the balance of your pH level. A lot of the greens and bitters and roots, very grounding. They promote the balancing of your mitochondria. They're very cleansing. They're 4 times more nutritious. It's been proven by a lot of people, and an indigenous diet is extremely preventative. And they didn't have any sugars in the same way that we do. They did have their maple and birch syrups and things of this nature, but they were very medicinal, and they certainly weren't synthetic. But I'm just going to speed through this. And as I said, a lot of those rhizomes and greens and things are taken off the market. I'm also going to speed through this, but we didn't have a lot of the different chemicals, aspartame, things of this nature that are included in our diet, which are very degenerative and mutagenic and carcinogenic. And we didn't have excessive wheats. We had a lot of fruits. We ate seasonally. We had lots of anti-inflammatory foods, right? Disease is born in inflammation, in environments in your body where there's inflammation, right? I'm going to speed through this. I'll get into that later. But that was the traditional diet, and I may post these online on a blog or something of this nature if I gain the permission and endorsement of First Nations people. I'm working on writing a book. I do believe that we need to self-fund. I do believe that we need to come together, and I don't own this knowledge. The Nuu-chah Nation gave me this knowledge. This knowledge belongs to First Nations people, and we all need to come together to create a movement in order to reclaim our medicine gifts. And I feel that I know how to do that, and I want to share that with you and ask for everyone to help. So this is, I'll just share with you, I wrote a long list of the ones just that are from the West Coast, but as I said earlier, every different nation, every different bioregion actually has plants that are medicinal. And I've learned that. I've been able to cross-reference information as I've gone through books. 400 years ago, a lot of eclectic physicians were brought in who could claim that they were like botanists. Native people gave them a lot of information, right? And I've been able to access a lot of that information as well. So I'm going to tell you about certain plants that you'll read that will, you'll if you talk to someone about them, they'll say, oh, they're going to kill you. You can't do that. That information is remanufactured everywhere. It's not true. Certain ones do, perhaps. That's true, right? But I will tell you that when people say that our medicine is lost, every single plant has been, in North America, researched by naturopathic doctors and Chinese medicine doctors. All of our plant medicine knowledge. Actually, it's quite interesting because naturopathic medicine was regulated in 1930. It was born from witnessing indigenous people's practice and also the pagan German practitioners who practice herbology in Europe. So they merged these two understandings together, and naturopathic medicine was born. Someone actually was in the same position we were, where they were told, oh, you can't do this, this isn't orthodox medicine. So they opened up a healing center. There were results. They opened up 20 healing centers. Then they self-regulated. They've claimed that medicine. Chinese medicine, you'll be amazed. Everyone knows about Chinese medicine. It's regulated here in Canada. It was only regulated in 1999 in Hong Kong. Today, it's one of the leading practices in the world. All of our plants are everywhere. We can access that knowledge from our elders who bring it to life because they know how to apply this information and re-verify it through scientists in other countries. 10 minutes? Okay, I can do this. So I'll be really quick. So anyways, yoga as well was an oral tradition and was only brought to North America in the 1960s. Now it's one of the biggest movements of our times. And the Himalayas as well has new culture where they're supporting the paradigm shift, and they're promoting only organic foods, holistic culture. They're said, you know, to be one of the happiest cultures. Harvard has endorsed them on that level, saying they're one of the happiest cultures. So the yew, the Taxus ubrifolia, is one of the plants that we use all the time. It's a curative as well for cancer. We only have 300 trees left in BC. Over 750,000 pounds of it was harvested by the NCI, it's the Cancer Institute. They'll tell you that it takes 200 trees to cure one person, and that's why it's so expensive. They claim that it's only for 2 types of cancer. 300 trees are left. One tree can cure 20 people, minimum. There's different types of funguses. Ginseng, everyone thinks ginseng is from like China. In the 1600s, I think it's 1636, there was a settler here, and he noticed that ginseng was actually used by the First Nations people, so he sent it up the St. Lawrence. It went into England and was actually sent into India and then to China. It's an adaptogen. Our Devil's Club is an adaptogen as well. It helps all of your glands, organs rebalance, your entire system. It's amazing. There's a lot more research that I'd like to share, but I'm just going to quickly go through this. Huckleberry is something that's really good for cancer. My teacher treated someone with cancer. It would be, not cancer, schizophrenia, and she would come back every year in order to resume another month of treatment. Crabapple bark is also really good, known for diabetes. Dogwood, malaria, cancer. Super sumac, I call it, same thing. There's anti-poison medicines. There's medicines for almost anything, actually. And we can prove that. But I'm just going to speed through some of these. Wild rose for the heart, Oregon grape, kinnikinnick. Lichens are really amazing. People are told all the time that they're actually very toxic. They're not regulated, but they're as well really good for cancer, tuberculosis, any type of like degenerative immune system challenge or degenerative disease or virus as well. Ganoderma fungus and chaga funguses are also really amazing. They're natural antibiotics. Antibiotics were born from First Nations people. They grew on their oak trees as well. They would allow them to create mold and use them, but they don't kill any of the good bacteria, just the negative bacteria. But I'm just going to speed through some of these. We all know like Labrador tea, Seneca for cleansing, willow bark and things of this nature, and birch as well, really good for like pain relief. Solomon seal, really good for your broken bones, radical fast healing. If you have any type of bruise, you can put it on. All the different trees like spruce, hemlock, cedar, walnut, maple, they ate these leaves. They didn't always eat every part of every tree, but they were included in their diet on a medicinal level. I'll just speed through here. because I can't cover it all right now. But a lot of foods like horsetail and dandelion, and they were also included in their diet all the time. The sea algae they ate all the time as a superfood. Their high-protein diet, really good for low birth weight and helping your system get all of the nutrients that it needs on every single level. And then everything for the common colds and ulcers, anti-inflammatory conditions, things of this nature. Sheep sorrel is what they use in the SCAC. It's also a cancer curative. There's actually about 20 at least different treatments for cancer, AIDS, HIV, tuberculosis, malaria, all of these things, the biggest ones that are affecting our culture and all cultures around the world. But I'll just skim through here. And also we have our stimulants. I don't do shamanism. I do plant medicine. There's a big difference between shamanism and plant medicine people. There are people who do energy medicine, even in the Ahousaht Nation, and I honor that, honor the ancestors. But even Harvard University right now is studying magic mushrooms and ayahuasca for, I know that not everyone smokes pot either, but I'll also address pot, because it is going to be legalized, so we should know that we didn't normally smoke pot that often. We ate it, and it had a 3% THC level, not 28%, which now causes like paranoia and mental health issues. It also cures cancer and a lot of other autoimmune diseases and functions. But it is amazing because it does actually increase serotonin in your brain at a healthy level, and it's been known to produce radical results with healing people with anxiety disorders and mental conditions. I myself had anxiety conditions, and I had my last experience when I was like 17 by taking mushrooms. I don't do drugs. I don't smoke pot. I don't smoke. But I do believe that this is the future, and so do the pharmaceutical companies as well. Holly leaves were used all the time because they were our natural form of caffeine, which has theobrine in it, which lowers blood pressure, but I'll go through that. All of the amazing plants, like soursop is a Hawaiian one for most degenerative illnesses that are life-threatening as well. Quinine from the Peruvian area, pod arco, magnolia, reishi, we have everything here. And then midwifery, I can't get into that today, but we have a lot of stuff too. Now I'm just going to get into this really quickly. All of the self-governance agreements, there's 4. This is really good. We're here. We're self-governing right now. We're moving into self-governing. Self-governance is great, but we don't have the right to practice our medicine. That's not included. The Sioux Valley, Sechelt, Yukon Territory, they're self-governing. West Bank, Kelowna. West Bank is opening up a hospital for integrative medicine, but it doesn't include the right to practice your medicine. It includes the right to your culture. And same with Sioux Valley and Yukon. I spoke with chiefs at the Sioux Valley recently, but we're just not prepared. Even the chiefs aren't aware of any way to overcome certain obstacles. This is an example of research objectives, right? From research institutions. At the very top here, there's some sort of herb. I don't remember which one it is. And this is the outline of allopathic pharmaceutical medicine right now today. Natives are very trusting. We've been trusting for 400 years. We keep giving people information thinking it's going to reclaim our medicine. My elder's done it. I used to write speeches for Annie George for Wade Davis. It's my first time speaking here today, though. And he's a famous ethnographer. And she was hosted by David Suzuki, always giving away information, being trusting, hoping. It happens all the time. But this is really interesting because, and a lot of doctors and a lot of researchers don't realize this, who are ethnobotanists. They take all this information. They're funded by the researchers who are processing our information over here. And if it's not a chemical drug, it always ends up in the mill over here. It's subjective, non-proven science. So we've been through this. We go through it every single year. We're still going through it all the time. It's always going to end up as being subjective. But if it's a chemical, suddenly it's objective and it's proven science, even if there's side effects. And that's actually rather unfortunate. But there's a way to change this, and I'm going to share it with you really quickly. So I'm going to give you an example with the NCI. NCI actually raises, I'm just using this as one example, because there's like so many different research institutions, but they're not getting a lot of government funding, maybe like $100,000 or so. Most of the funding comes from a movement. We need to create a movement. Public, running, N7, maybe that will be the new thing. Philanthropy, public donors, tax write-offs. People want to give. But we're dependent on them right now. Everyone is really dependent on them to help us, but under the conditions of the chart that I just showed you, that's never really going to happen. So how are we going to change that, right? Chiefs must endorse. Most native chiefs aren't even aware of the plant medicine people. They're not aware of a lot of the information that I just shared with you in our capacity to reclaim our medicine and prove it. Not just in my nation, but almost every different area where I've spoken with certain people, because that information is safeguarded through the desire to protect our people. And it's through that same spirit of the desire to protect our people, not from war, but from health issues, that we need to change that. So I won't get into, I'll tell you quickly about the story of the Shaman's Pharmaceutical. The Shaman's Pharmaceutical actually raised $649,000 of public funding money in South America by having people go down there to get medicine information from the people of the South. They gave back just $8,000 to those people. All of their forests were being cut down. The only thing that they've produced to date is a chronic diarrhea medicine for AIDS. We have those. Super sumac, dogwood, just to name a couple. It's all here. Now there's, oh yeah, the Kelowna, they're recommending alternative treatments, really good. What can we do, right? Now, this is what we can do. We need to self-fund. The Universal Declaration of Human Rights says Native people have the right to access medicine. They don't have the right to practice their medicine, right? The Convention on Biological Diversity, you've all heard of maybe the Nakota Accord. People are working right now, it's really exciting times, it's a really beautiful thing, on actually taking a benefit from every chemical that's being produced, because our information has been stolen, and it has been verified by certain key people. Not pharmaceutical companies, of course, but patent companies are actually working to make change in relationship with the Convention on Biological Diversity. But that still doesn't give us our right to practice our medicine culture. The BC Transformative Change Accord is beautiful. It's a 10-year plan, 2 more years, we're going to be self-governing. This is amazing. There's so many people on the inside right now who are working to self-govern. We have the right to vote. Our vote counts. Every voice counts. And same with the tripartite agreement. This is beautiful. I'm very fortunate to be here with you today. And this platform gave me the opportunity to talk to all of you. So I honor all of you who are here, and I honor the First Nations Authority for doing that. Talking so fast, I'm getting out of breath almost. But I'll go into this. Adult No More is a movement of our times now. I live in Winnipeg right now. I see it everywhere in the paper, every way and every day. People are coming together, but they're protecting biodiversity, land, water. There's nothing on there for our medicine culture right now, yet. And the CIHR as well, they're a research institute. We're working with them right now. Actually, they've signed on to one of the only organizations in the world that support the regulation, just like Chinese medicine, of plant medicine knowledge. They believe that First Nations people have the right to practice their own medicine. They believe that that is the future. They see it with Chinese medicine, just to name a few. And, but right now, we're not doing that yet. But we're working together, and that's the only way to make it work. It's really exciting. They've signed on with them, and this is the vision. So how do we integrate? How is that actually possible? How can we self-regulate? Everyone thinks, well, you can't make your own medicine. You get thrown in jail, maybe. How can you do it? It doesn't fit in with the structure. Doctors are always saying that it is kind of contraindicated potentially or non-effective. How are we going to do that if it doesn't fit into the framework? We stop doing what we've been doing, and we create a new framework. So there's a lot of positive to self-governance, right? Cultural inclusion is a really big one, right? More ownership of our decisions, having a voice, right? Education of culture. So some of our obstacles I've already really gotten into, but I will cover a couple, is that most of our endangered species actually are not, it's not in the mandate by Forestry Canada to put a lot of those traditional plants back into our environment when there is a lot of deforestation. So a lot of our plants aren't growing. A lot of First Nations people don't actually want to harvest because we've already been deforested. There's already been so much deforestation. But there are ways to change these. A lot of our funguses actually in the wild are sent to China to be used in their medicine. We're not accessing it enough ourselves. But there's actually a way to change a lot of these things. We need to find opportunities for people right now to start involving themselves in ethno-agriculture, which is a really big thing. Ethno-agriculture, farming, right? We can do it in a traditional way. We used to have a population of 60 million people before colonialism. Now we're at less than 800,000, right? But we used to actually do farming in highly populated areas. So we need to actually honor tradition and transform it in a modern way. We need to enable access to food medicines in creative ways by gaining insight from elders and community members. We need to get our young people involved. I can't do it on my own. Everybody has to do it. Everyone actually has to work together to enable our medicine production. We can have like wineries. We can have people come through and harvest medicine and learn how to harvest it in a safe way, right? We can do it through the FDA. We can do it through Health Canada if we self-regulate. And we need to heal our own, and we can save money. We can switch the paradigm shift. We can switch the paradigm shift. Right now, the average Canadian makes $39,000 a year. The average Canadian spends $4,500 just on health care. We can switch that dynamic. We can be preventative. We can get our own people actually participating, not only through economic infrastructure, but we can start having our healing centers, we can start observing, we can start self-funding, we can self-regulate. And I'll finally cover our self-regulation. Self-regulation is actually legal. It is legal. A couple of examples of self-regulation practices. There's different modalities. I just covered a few. Optometry, chiropractics, Chinese medicine, and naturopathy. And it's quite interesting. You must be able to prove the effectiveness of your medicine, which we can. You must be able to prove, I'm not going to read it, I'll just say, but you must be able to prove the effectiveness of your medicine, which we can. You don't have to be able to prove it through allopathic or orthodoxic medicine, but you do have to be able to prove that it is safe through anecdotal evidence and other empirical information storehoused by other cultures that share our knowledge, naturopathic medicine, Chinese medicine, etc. We need to be able to prove that there's a health concern, right? Maybe there could be a contraindication. That's true, right? We can own that. And we need to be able to prove that, that there's a collective body of information, right, that comes from us. It comes from us. I just shared a little bit with you here today, but there's hundreds, thousands of bits of information. We can compile it all together and bring it life. I'm starting to write about it. I can't just do it on my own. We need to be able to prove that maybe our holistic practitioners need insurance. We can do that in a way that honors elders. We can do that in a way that honors tradition. We can do it in a way that's outside the box. There's a lot of ideas that exist that maybe I don't have. But if we all come together as First Nations people, we can actually form a new plan in a new structure, self-fund ourselves, self-regulate, educate our young people, educate our chiefs that this medicine is here, educate all the nations, have them working together, create that collective body of information, even in the research institutions, but do it in a new framework. Because what we've been doing has not been working for us. And in the framework that it's been in, it will never work for us. So we have the power to change that. Now is an exciting time. We're ready, we're capable, we're prepared, we have that knowledge, we own that knowledge. It's sacred, it's beautiful, and it works. We can change the world. We have to do it together. I'm here today to talk to chiefs. I'm here today to talk to elders. I'm here today to talk to Health Canada, the Health Authority, and every single one of you health workers who are here. Go back to your communities, start talking, start engaging people. Tell your medicine people about this. We need dialogue. We need a lot of dialogue. This is possible. I believe it, and I hope that by listening to me today, you've been able to see that. It's beautiful. Thankful for the Health Authority for enabling me to speak here today. And thank you to Geraldine for referring me from the Tribal Council. Thank you.
Thank you to Georgina. There are some snacks out in the hall for break right now. And then we have our next presenter starting, the next round of presenters are starting in about 5 minutes or so. So go stretch your legs, wander around, get some water, and we'll see you back in a bit.